you're living in Loudoun County, Virginia, maybe Leesburg or Ashburn, I've got a quick story for you that I think is relevant for today's market. Told to me by a fellow real estate agent up in New York City. He's got a friend who's been in a rent-controlled apartment for the past 20 years. And as you might imagine, that rent-controlled apartment, the rent is well below market rent, market value. It's a really good deal. People are super hesitant about giving up those rent-controlled apartments. But for the past 20 years, this gentleman has given up so much of his life and passed on so many job opportunities, relationship opportunities, travel opportunities. And it all comes down to he doesn't want to give up his rent-controlled apartment. And I understand that makes sense in some ways, but I think about all the things that he's passed on that it could have brought a lot of happiness to his life simply because he was not willing to give up an apartment. And I think about that in today's market too, here in Loudoun County, Leesburg, Ashburn, though these markets where home buyers have a 3% mortgage rate, and they're thinking about giving that up and going into something that might be 6.5 or sometimes maybe 7. And that's a hard decision to make. But I talk to these folks every day. They're young families, maybe with another kid on the way, or a pregnant wife, or a backyard that they might need more space for, or another room or another bedroom, or even it might be empty nesters that live in a huge house and they spend all their time just maintaining a 4,000 square foot home on an acre lot when that really doesn't bring any happiness to them. And the reason why all these folks are saying or are hesitant about leaving or making that jump to a bigger house or downsizing is because they've got a 3% interest rate. And that interest rate is so compelling, it's so cheap, and they're so afraid of moving in to another property where they'd have to pay 6.5 or 7. And I just think that that's unfortunate. Obviously, it makes sense for a lot of people when it comes down to happiness. Maybe it might not be the right choice for you. I don't know what tomorrow brings as far as the interest rates. I have absolutely no idea whether they'll go up or they'll go down. I just don't know. But for those of you who are waiting for the interest rates to go down and waiting for that move, this I can predict. And again, I'm not always perfect with predicting what's going to happen in the market, but I have a pretty strong sense of what would happen if rates went down into the 4s, or maybe even the high 4s or low 5s. And then I think it would be a complete bloodbath for buyers. I really believe all heck would break loose for buyers in the market right now. Here in Loudoun County, I know there are thousands of buyers just sitting on the sidelines waiting for that interest rate to get below 5% or even in the low 5s. And once it does, or once those interest rates get down to that level, you're going to see thousands of people jumping into the market. So your mortgage payments, you might have a lower mortgage payment, or actually you might be able to afford a little bit more as far as a monthly payment is concerned. But now you're competing with thousands of more potential buyers in there for the same number of houses. I don't really honestly think that your mortgage payment on a monthly basis is going to be any less. So something to think about. I'm not here to push anybody into making a decision to give up the 3% interest rate or jump into something that's 6.5 or 7. I just want to make a point about sometimes happiness is a priority. And I think if you just sit around and wait for a more advantageous interest rate environment to come around, maybe that might not be the solution for you. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to chat. Give me a call anytime.